In this episode, we're going to be talking about taking advantage of the holiday season and implementing these strategies and video ideas for massive engagement. Stay tuned. This is the Podcast in the Rough. Tune in every Friday for new adventurous episodes. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Podcast in the Rough. I'm your host, Zebulon Thomas, and today we have a special episode tailored just for the holiday season. So whether you're a seasoned podcaster or someone looking to start your podcast during this festive time, I've got you covered with these key strategies and ideas that will make your podcast grow during the holiday season. But before we jump in, I just want to say welcome to the very first episode of Season 4. We are officially launched. Season 4, I'm excited about it. And so a lot of things have been changing with the podcast. It's growing, and as you grow, you want to make sure that you're adjusting, pivoting, and making sure that you're still holding the value. And I was going to jump into Season 4 100% about mental health awareness and sharing a lot of my journey with you and how all the success that I've been able to accomplish over the past couple of years in my career has been exciting, but also the toll it has taken on my mental health and some things I'm using to help myself and get through some things and some strategies and techniques I learned to help many of you who are going through some things mentally, physically, and emotionally. But after reviewing that, I realized it doesn't need to be a whole season, and not every episode needs to be packed with just that. Sometimes we just need a little bit of a push. And to protect my mental health and my state of well-being, I didn't want to go 100% down the rabbit hole of mental health awareness and sharing too much all at once, because it'll have an effect on me. And I want to serve you at the highest level. And as much of the tools that I have for you and sharing my personal story and some of the things I experience day in and day out, I know will serve you well and help you. But I know if I overtax myself and if I disrupt my own process of healing, that it's just not worth it for both of us. So with that being said, I have dedicated some things throughout this season that you're going to enjoy to really help you get to the next level. And I'm always here for you inside this podcast. You can send me a voice note on the website at the Podcast in the Rough. I'm here for you on my social media. You can comment, DM, or send me an email. Any way you want to connect with me, I'm here for you. I'm doing some big things this year. I'm back. I'm 99% back, okay? I don't think I'll ever be 100%, but I'm back. And I'm here to serve and add massive value to people. Once again, I'm taking it back, and it feels good. I've aligned myself and armed myself with the tools and strategies I need to serve at my highest level. And that's what 2024 is all about. So stay tuned. Now listen, I know I jumped off script a little bit, so if you're following along with this podcast show notes, this isn't in it. This was not prepared. This is me just, I want to riff. I want to give you something. By the way, I am doing show notes, and I'm excited about it. If you haven't yet checked it out, go to thepodcastinrough.com and click on the blog, and you'll see the show notes for these episodes. By the way, some year-end review statistics of my podcast have been amazing. I've become the top podcast for so many of you, which thank you so much for selecting this podcast to be your go-to top podcast to listen to. That's exciting. I've seen a 258% increase in growth in my podcast globally. So I'm excited about that. Thank you so much for the podcast support. Let me get back to my show notes so we can stay on course and I can deliver you another exciting episode. But this is the first episode of Season 4. And it took a long time to get to this point, and I'm grateful for your support, even with the reboot of Season 3, because I wanted to give you value and I had to shift gears. I changed the name. I changed it all. I took a risk, and here we are, and I love it. I love my new setup. I love the logo. I love the name. I love this community. I love the website. It actually is functioning perfectly the way we want. A lot of you guys have given me great feedback on that. I appreciate it. I'm obsessed with the website, thepodcastinrough.com. And towards the end of the Season 3, I've launched some nice crowdfunding opportunity for you to access premium content and show your support. And I'll pitch that at the end of this podcast if you want to know more. But let's dive right in. So let's kick things off by talking about the power of incorporating current trends into your holiday podcast. In the world of podcasting, what I've experienced and seen firsthand is that leveraging what is happening around you and online can significantly boost your reach and engagement. It's really just a supply and demand. How can you solve people's problems, bring them the news a better way, or show them something exciting that everybody else is tuning into? Put your own spin on it, if you will. Keep an eye on popular holiday trends, events, and even memes that you can seamlessly integrate into your content. And this is exciting because it really will boost your podcast by doing this. This is the time. This is the best time to do it. Now, one platform that could take your podcast to new heights is YouTube. You know, I love YouTube, and I've been using YouTube to build my entire career. So I had to put this in here. So with YouTube's massive audience, combining audio with visuals can be a game changer. And so I've prepared for you 3 video podcast ideas for the holidays. Number 1, a festive studio tour. This is exciting because you get to show off your podcast space decked out in holiday decor. So take some time to do that, and it gives you a little bit more of a personal touch, and this will connect you more with your audience and really put you in the mood for the holiday season. I mean, I got neon lights around everywhere, and I enjoy it, but Christmas lights, can't beat that. Really get you in the mood to put on a good show. Number 2, gift unboxing and recommendations. Sharing your favorite holiday gift related to your podcast niche is going to really set the stage. Unboxing segments are always a big hit, and I recommend that you go live. So, do an episode, but also before and after the episode, go live on YouTube. Why not? You're already set up. Just do it and watch how things open up for you and how much more deeper you can connect with your listeners and your audience and start to really nurture and grow that community. So I highly recommend that. Number 3, interviews with holiday experts. Invite guests on who are experts in holiday related topics. It could be anything from cooking to home decor tips or even hanging up those lights on the house like Clarke from Christmas Vacation. If you haven't seen that movie, maybe I've dated myself here, but hang them up. Talk about that. I mean, I would tune into that. But hey, if you prefer sticking to the audio realm, don't worry because I got you covered there too. Here are 3 ideas for audio-only podcasts in case you're not doing the video and you haven't got there yet. It's okay. Just not there yet. Number 1, holiday stories and traditions. Share personal stories or invite listeners to send in their holiday tales. This creates a sense of community and engagement. There's a ton of holiday family get-together stories I could share with you. And I'm sure we probably share some similar family chaos. Okay, I'm sure you got some funny moments or some chaotic moments. And what did you take from those moments? So that'd be good too. Share like this is what happened, this is what we went through, and in the end, this is kind of what we pulled from that, right? And it's family, right? Some Fast and Furious. Okay. So don't forget to share some stories. And I really think it's a good idea to invite people to share their stories on your episode because it really just allows someone to open up and feel more part of what you're creating. So don't forget to do that. A year in review, reflect on the past year within your niche, discuss highlights, trends, and memorable moments. It's a great way to round off the year. And I personally want to do this, but I'm going to do this more towards New Year's and not before Christmas, probably the week after Christmas. So I might do a special like that because I find it interesting. I used to do it all the time with my ZT films. And it was exciting. I saw a really big increase in response and viewership during those times when I did that. And it was really cool. And what really made it special was, we're visually watching the moments that I've created, amazing films and commercials and some of the behind the scenes. And it's just a really exciting experience to edit it, work on that content, and then publish it. And we all share in the community all our little stories. Because so many people, back when I started my career as a videographer, so many people would get involved and travel all over to be a part of these commercials that I would shoot and these videos I'd shoot for YouTube. And so it wasn't just me sharing the highlights. People were sharing their stories on how they got to the video. They were sharing their stories, how it was to meet me. I was sharing my stories, what it's like to meet them and the moments we shared. And they're sharing about like what it did for them and how it boosted their career or how they just felt special or how they had the time of their life and they went on to do great things because of it. That was exciting. So year in review, don't forget to do that. And number 3, New Year's resolution special. Now, I personally don't believe in New Year's resolutions because a big percent of them fail. I don't have the statistic in front of me, but a lot of people, I'm going to lose weight, and you go to the gym in the first 3-4 weeks, you see people piling in the gym and then they fall off. So, if you go into the gym frequently, you're like, hey, let's just do a home workout now and give it a couple weeks, and then all those people are going to go away and they're going to go back to their old habits. But New Year's resolution specials are going to rank higher in SEO. Everyone's going to look for them. So why not dive into the goal setting and self-improvement topics related to your podcast theme? It's a fantastic way to inspire your audience for the upcoming year. So if I were to do a New Year's resolution special, mine would be focusing on things that you need in 2024. And that's going to be like, if you're doing business or in personal, you're going to need a business coach or a personal coach. Find someone that can mentor you or coach you, if you can afford it, to get to the next level, stay on you, hold you accountable. And that could even be a personal trainer. So we all have a weight loss goal, I'm sure, or to get fit, put your health first this year and start eating better. Little things that you can do. Maybe they don't cost you money. But I found that the rituals and routines that we do when we get up first thing in the morning is key. So I've been getting up earlier. I haven't been staying up as late. I've been getting up earlier, getting adequate rest, making sure that I at least get my 7 hours of sleep. I used to only operate on 4 to 5. I'm like, let's get 7 in. And I want to get that 7 hours of sleep in at the same time every night. So my body is trained to do that. And then I get up and I feel better. And then right when I get up, I do not look at my phone. I go straight into a yoga, a workout, or meditation. And then after that, I take some time to do some stretching. While I'm doing that, I read books or listen to audio programs or something that feeds my mind powerful information that really, for me, unlocks my highest potential and gets me to think on a whole nother level. So I'm overlooking all the chaos and I can arrive to my problems and handle those problems with a clear mind. And then to really unlock and open up that alpha inside of me, I go and I do a cold plunge or a cold shower or I do a hot sauna. And I really just wake up my body. Now, I'm not saying you have to do those things. This is my routine. So don't do what I do. Find your own routine. But for me, this works. It really cuts through the mental fog and gets me clear and focused and activates my endorphins and I'm ready to go. And you can do the same thing by just saying, hey, I'm going to get up and take a walk. I'm going to take a run. I'm going to do that hardcore workout. But the first thing I do is I dedicate the first hour to an hour and a half, 2 hours of my morning to myself before anybody else gets it. Now I'm prepared and primed for the day. Make power moves. Went off the script a little bit here, but I wanted to share that insight. Had to go deep with you. Now let's talk about adding massive value to your episodes. Consider including expert interviews, actionable tips, or exclusive insights that your audience can't get anywhere else. This is unique to you, so make sure that you lead with value when you create this section of your episode in your podcast. Create content that educates, entertains, and leaves your listeners eagerly waiting your next episode. That's the goal. That's the key. So if you apply that, you're going to be on a whole new path. It's going to be great. Always lead with adding massive value. Promoting your podcast organically during the holiday season is crucial. Leveraging social media, collaborating with other podcasters, and don't forget to engage with your audience. It's a big deal. And when you do this, encourage them to share their favorite episode with your friends and family. And since everyone's coming together, word of mouth is the most powerful tool. So if you do a good job right now between now and when people start to get together for the holidays, they're going to start talking about you. And that's going to be a big deal. You want your podcast and your name and your tips or things that you've done for them to show up at the dinner table while they're having a good time. Because not only are you doing that, but you're leaving a lasting change that then turns into an anchor for them and others, because now they're having this great time with the friends and family, holidays. They're like, I got to tell you about this podcast. I got to tell you about what I learned. It's amazing. And all of that energy is there. And people want to be a part of that. And they're going to lock it in and feel good. So make sure you leave with value. That do something that leaves lasting change and leaves a big impact, I should say. So as we wrap up today's episode, I'm excited to introduce this new segment focused on mental health. I talked about it. I said I was going to do it in season 4, and here we are. The holiday season can be challenging for many, including myself. So I want to share with you some tips to make it a bit easier. Here are my mental health tips for the holidays. Practice mindfulness. Take a minute each day to breathe, relax, and be present in the moment. This can help you alleviate the stress of the holidays. Set realistic expectations. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to create the perfect holiday experience for your friends and family. Just be real. Fail forward. Just be open and lead with love. Embrace imperfections and focus on the joy of the season. Things are going to be a mess. Not everything's going to go well. Things are going to happen and there's going to be delays and cancellations. Just embrace it. Connect with your loved ones. Reach out to friends and family, whether they're in person or virtual. Send an email. Try to get on a Zoom. FaceTime them. Call them up. Maintaining that connection can provide emotional support for everybody. It's going to be a big deal. And now for the holiday gift I have for you. I'm launching a limited time offer. Right now, you can join my podcast community mastermind group absolutely free by visiting thepodcastandrough.com/learn. And it's an exclusive opportunity to connect with fellow podcasters, share insights, and elevate your podcast game. I'm teaching you how to podcast from start to success. So if you're new to this podcast, I wanted to introduce this to you and let you know that it's absolutely free to join, but it's for a limited time only. And I have many people coming in here. We've been doing a lot of great things. A lot of people starting their podcast. I'm very proud of everybody that have been doing their podcast, and I'm impressed. You're really stepping up. And those who have taken a little bit of time to get their podcast, I know that it's going to be great when you eventually start to launch. So join all of them and myself inside this podcast community mastermind group. Head over to thepodcastandrough.com/learn. But that's not all. If you're enjoying my content and you want to support the Podcast on the Rough over the holidays, consider subscribing to one of our membership tiers on buymeacoffee.com/intherough. Access premium content and show your love for the podcast. You can even make an anonymous donation of your choice Every bit helps with creating content for this episode, for this podcast, and many more episodes. So I appreciate your support. And if for some reason you're unable to contribute financially, that's okay. You can always write a review and give me a star rating on Apple Podcast or on the website at thepodcastintherough.com. It'll really help us reach more listeners. Thank you for joining me on this festive episode of the Podcast in the Rough. I'm wishing all of you a joyful holiday season filled with love, laughter, light, and memorable podcast moments. I really encourage everyone to embrace the chaos of the holiday season on social media, in your personal and professional lives, and find ways to add massive value to yourself, to others, show your support, and start to go outside your comfort zone and do something new. And for many of you, that's going to be starting a podcast in 2024. And when you're ready for that, I'm right here. Come to thepodcastintherough.com, join the groups, absorb the content, and let's launch together. Thank you so much. Tune in next week for another great episode of the Podcast in the Rough. Take care. This is the Podcast in the Rough.